Fine. Chat. So Mohammed, Hatib, and Maria Mohammed are attendant here with me. Bravo. Okay. Fine. So today, again, we will do the three tasks. The first one, we will quickly look through the topic of cognitive abilities of people in later adulthood and during the process of aging. And as I already mentioned, for you it should be easy because we already talked about the cognitive processes like memory, attention, and also the characteristics related to intelligence and IQ. So we will just look through some aspects. The second thing, very important, we will discuss the assignment because I believe that we only just briefly discussed the assignment and we didn't really focus on it. And I believe that no one of you has started doing anything about this. And then those people who haven't received the feedback will stay with me, feedback related to the psychology of learning first report, and the rest will be free. Okay, if you have any questions, please ask. And we will start now. I hope that you can hear me. If you can't, please tell me either in voice or through chat. If you have any question, please ask. And just tell me if you can see the screen or not. Okay? So this is the first slide of the presentation and it's entitled deterioration and this is the question mark. So like we are talking about something that is a common kind of stereotype that has in it some kind of factual basis, but at the same time it's also surrounded by a lot of stereotypes and discriminatory stereotypes. And we already mentioned that anything which is discriminating based on the age, this is called ageism. And this is one of the main ideas behind our assignment, group assignment in this course. And very often, ageism is related to the intellectual abilities of people in the age above whatever age. And the common view is that, okay, just people are losing their abilities with age, they're like kids, they are helpless, and so on. So, very often, their physical inability or deterioration in their physical uh, I don't know, state, if we can say so.
Recording in progress.
Okay, thank you. I thought it was in progress long ago. Okay, fine. So, I mean, very often the abilities of their physical domain are equated with their intellectual abilities, at least in many societies. I'm not exactly sure. I have not conducted any research related to this cross-culturally. However, this is one of the common views on aging in many cultures. And it is believed that there is a decline in the competency, in behavior, uh, like people are not able to plan very easily at a certain age, they're forgetting things, they're not able to keep many things in their span of attention, they're very slow in processing information, they are not able to count fast to whatever. And actually, and actually, it's very often just the example of ageism or stereotypes related to discrimination by age, or just common stereotypes that are not supported with any facts. And maybe very like various research that was feeding such ideas, it was conducted on a small sample of subjects. It was conducted with already some certain biases in their design, and we can discuss this next lecture during our next lecture. However, the recent studies say that the natural deterioration occurs. What is meant by natural deterioration? It's like deterioration or decline that happens because of some natural conditions and predeterminants. However, this deterioration is not as severe as it is believed. And I wanted just to tell you that sometimes the mental abilities are even increased after a certain age, and we will look at this into it. Sorry. And of course, we all love money, and maybe some of you don't, but many people do. I too. And this is our beloved person on the $100 bill, and this is Benjamin Franklin. And this is just one of the examples that at the age of 78, he designed or invented something called bifocal glasses. It's for people who, with age, people are not able to see clearly in the near distance, and at the same time, if people were short-sighted preliminary, they still need the glasses to see in the far distance. So this was something interesting and useful. And actually, why I put this person, not because of $100 bill, but because the example of the vivid mind, and that it also shows that the person at that age still was reading, still thought of designing something that would help him and others to read, which is one of the evidence that people are still maintaining and even developing their intellectual skills even at that age. This is also the list of some other famous names. Famous, maybe not here, and I really wish that you also think of some other examples of people in their senior age that were famous for inventing something or designing something. Like, for example, here, an example of Peter Mark Roget, who created a dictionary of synonyms. Synonyms, these are the words that have the same meaning or similar meaning, and it's considered one of the best thesaurus. I don't know. Did you hear me? And I can't even pronounce this word, okay, anymore. I will say dictionary, and then I will recall how to pronounce it. So it's one of the evidence of age, of aging, it seems. So uh, uh, he compiled this dictionary, thesaurus, when he was 73, and he still supervised the revisions of this till he was, what, 90. Okay. Also, George Weiss was 84 when he invented the board game called Dabble, and it's an interesting one related to puzzles and words and so on. Daniel, I'm not sure that it will be uploaded on e-learning because it's too big. I will see. And we can only upload 20 megas, I think. So I will see. But I will share this file somehow. If it's recorded, Aslan. I mean, because something is weird. But hopefully it will be recorded. So I wanted also to, can you hear me? I hope, right? There's also Charles Greeley Abbott, who was the secretary of Smithsonian Institution at the age of 56, and at the age of 99, he invented the solar cooker. that use the energy of the direct sunlight to cook food and heat beverages. I meant to say this is something, I mean, impressive even to live till that age, but also to maintain their intellectual abilities is also even more impressive. However, there are studies that show that longevity uh, very closely associated with the intellectual activity of people. So the more intellectually active a person is, the longer he or she lives. And this requires some kind of interpretation and some kind of reasoning why this is exactly happening. Okay, you might think that this is only about men, but no, there are also the same examples for women. Like, for example, Laura Ingalls Wilder. She started writing the book for children. Yeah, Daniel. Okay, fine. I will I will read. I will create my channel. Nice idea, Daniel. Let's create the channel and I will do it. Great. Fine. So, um, nice idea, Daniel. Let's create the channel for our cohort. It's amazing. It's some nice idea. Let's think about this. Um, so, uh, so I was talking about the author, Laura Wilder, who wrote the book for kids, Little House in the Big Woods. It's one of the famous books, and she finished the series of this book when she was 76. And one of the most impressive examples for me is Tu Yuyu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this name correctly because she is a Chinese pharmaceutical chemist, and she discovered the medicine against malaria. Someone is asking something? No? So she discovered the medicine against malaria, and this is really a devastating disease, let's say. It was affecting a lot of populations in the Asia, Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, South China, and so on, South America. And she obtained with co-authors, with other co-authors, she got the Nobel Prize for that in 2015. So now she's 92 years old. So when she got this prize, she was 80 something. 80 what? 81? I can't count. So please forgive me, I'm tired already. Fine. So when we are talking about the cognitive abilities of the older population, we already mentioned that very often it's all surrounded with ageism and stereotypes. And let's go and look at the science and studies that exist. So uh, to talk about intelligence, we need to first recall what it is. And if we look at this in general, so this is something, the ability that allows people to function effectively and adapt to the environment. Okay, so Wexler, one of the most famous authors of the one of the most famous intelligence scales or intelligence tests, defined intelligence as the aggregate of global capacity of the individual to act purposefully, to think rationally, and to deal effectively with the environment. When you look at this definition, of course, you would notice that it's very much culturally bound. It means that what do you mean by act purposefully or think rationally in different cultural settings or deal effectively with the environment? And I already keep repeating that deal effectively with the environment is very much culturally predetermined, because in cultures, for example, that are more Eastern and African, very often intelligence is equated with the social intelligence and the ability to maintain the social relationship, and not with the ability to count well. Okay, so despite this note, we can see that thinking and functioning with some certain purpose are two very important factors here. And what is really amazing that there is a rise, at least a slight rise in the IQ through middle adulthood. Like we can say around 45, 50 years old, and even longer. And only from like 67 to 74, the total IQ scores begin to drop, but not really like substantially. And we'll see that they begin to drop not because of the overall intelligence, but because of certain components of the intelligence. And we need to remember, and I'm not sure if you study this in the cognitive psychology or you don't yet have it, intelligence is a composite that has different components based on the theoretical approach. And I will remind you that theoretical approach means that you believe that this construct or this ability is like related to certain things. Like, for example, Spearman is one of the very famous authors of intelligence theories, thought that there is some kind of global factor, or he called it G factor in the intelligence, and it's meaning it's like the general intelligence, and it affects all other kinds of intelligences, if we may say so. Some other authors were talking about different kinds of intelligences, like, for example, spatial intelligence, like kinesthetic intelligence, and other, and so on, like, for example, Gardner, and so on. So we're talking about the approach to intelligence, and we will see that intelligence is not something like solid. So we will see why this may happen. And as I already mentioned, the intelligence itself is, or what we should consider as intelligent, is very much culturally bound or related to culture and to the needs of the environment, because again, it's related to the needs of environment, right? However, in the westernized approach to intelligence, IQ is really, really popular. And I want to remind you that IQ was the construct that was rooted from the idea of intelligence that was based on a certain need. If you remember, it's related to the name of Binet, and then Simon Binet, and then Stanford Binet. But at first, it was related to the need of the French government to place children to a certain level at school. Why was this need? Because in France, until a certain time, the education was not a must. So many kids from various layers of the society, they were not educated, some of them were not literate, and this didn't really depend on age as much as it depended on whatever background you were having. So when the French government issued a decree to have education as obligatory for all, there was a need to identify which kid should be placed in which grade and so on. So Binet designed this test, and it appeared to be extremely successful. Then this IQ concept was stuck to it, and now we are dealing with this IQ as the heritage. And because of it was really successful for that need of placement in grades, the same test, because it was first designed for the French population in French, It was then translated into English and adapted for the realia of Americans, and this became Stanford Binet test. And then it was adapted by Wexler and so on. And this is how IQ became like stuck for all. However, if we talk about the research of IQ on older populations, so the overall results from different studies say that okay, IQ tends to decline with age. Towards 80s, halas, IQ is a kind of declining. But again, if we go back to those examples that we just saw, at the first two slides, we see that this is not a rule, okay? And apparently, the decline is not as substantial and as detrimental for the functioning in the environment and rational thinking and purposeful functioning as it might be thought of. Okay, so however, what's really interesting that although the decline happens, uh, still, if you were a bright kid at the age of like 10, 11, whatever, in your high school, and then you're a bright kid at the university, you will still stay bright, nice senior person when you're 80-year-old compared to your peers. Okay, so we can say that the level of your intelligence compared to the level of intelligence of the rest of the population of your peers would remain more or less the same. And actually, intelligence is considered as one of the most stable characteristics throughout the age in people. And as I already mentioned, there are different approaches to the idea of intelligence, and one of the approaches is to talk about two kinds of intelligences: crystallized intelligence and fluid intelligence. So when we talk about the crystallized intelligence, it's something that is like your baggage. It's like what you have collected throughout your experience, education, like a background. It's a kind of set of skills and knowledge that you have learned as a part of growing and development. And of course, it really affects your ability to think rationally, to reason about the real life problems, like to do some skills that are related to technical environment. And most probably, you will be the same keen on dealing with the like mobile phones and whatever else, like PlayStations and so on, as you are now when you are older. And also, it's all about the everyday life situations and so on. And the crystallized abilities, if we talk about the standardized test of intelligence, it's normally measured by your vocabulary richness, by your verbal comprehension, how you're able to read some paragraph, answer a question, and so on. And most probably, this is also related to your critical thinking skills, because the comprehension also requires that you understand, are able to interpret, and so on. The fluid intelligence. So, the fluid intelligence is the abilities that are related to the developmental stages and therefore age as believed. And it requires some kind of learning to adapt to new situations, and it doesn't really depend on what knowledge you carry or how well you studied when you were younger, and it doesn't depend on your prior education as believed. And it's all related to abstract thinking and normally in the intelligence standardized tests of intelligence, it's measured with so-called sequence completion puzzle. Like now, let's try to solve this. For example, you're given a series of letters F, G, I, L, P. So which letter should come after P? Okay, I'm asking you, Yalla. Which letter should come after P in your opinion? Okay. Done. Which? I didn't hear which one. Okay, someone wrote G.
I. That's I.
There is I already. F G I L P. I is already there, G is already there. So F G I L P, which letter? Okay, just think. Okay, someone's typing, maybe? No, no one is typing. I hope. Y. Okay. Uh, Q. Okay, give me one last answer and T. Okay, I'm waiting for just one more answer. Maybe. No? Fine. So the letter that should come after P is U. Can you please explain to me why? Just guess why. So F G I L P U, it should be. Why? Okay, I will give it to you. Okay, Fatma, you said, okay, why? I thought we're forming a word. Okay. Okay, fine. So please think about this for the next lecture.
Yes, I didn't understand in the beginning. It took me a while.
Yeah. Fine. So, like, think about this. Why the answer is you? Okay, and then we will discuss this next lecture. We'll tell you the answer if you didn't know. Fine. Because I don't want to burn it for you. Okay, maybe someone said or no, the answer is you. The answer is you. The number of skipped letters increases every time. Okay. Then Arwa, you will write for me how exactly. So you will show to me next lecture exactly by what number and so on. So because there should be some kind of rule recognized. Fine. Anyway, the results show that people of younger age are better at such intelligence tests than people of older age. And this is how they believe that the younger people are better at abstract reasoning and better at learning new things. Okay, and we can say that if we talk about the intelligence in general, so we already said that IQ is one of the most stable features throughout our life, but nevertheless, we said intelligence results a kind of decline, so it's overall. But this is because of the fluid intelligence, okay? So we can say that crystallized intelligence even grows after 10 minutes. It will, if I'm cut off, I will re-enter, and please you also re-enter. So we were saying that intelligence is not uniform, so the decline is attributed to the decline in the fluid tasks. However, aspects of the crystallized intelligence, like for example, world knowledge, knowledge about whatever, everyday anything, it grows into the 60s and only starts gradually, very gradually, not that much declining after 70s. And some aspects of fluent ability, like related to speed of processing, working memory, and so on, it actually starts declining pretty early, like around 35 to 40 years old. So we can say that it's not exactly about the older people, it's even in the middle adulthood, which is related most probably to the working memory and attention span. What else is very interesting? The research that was studying people from 6 to 89 years old tried to see which age is the best in the crystallized and fluid intelligence tasks. And they discovered, Lee and the authors, that the peak of the fluid tasks performance is of the mid 20s. So you're still becoming better. You personally will be still better in learning. You still have very great chance to learn more, to study something, to change your fields, to advance, and so on, up to 30s. And then very obvious, according to this research, decline starts after the mid of 30s. Mid of 30s means like 35 and older. As for the crystallized abilities do not really peak, and they peak at around 40s. So it means that we're still learning and collecting the knowledge and baggage about the everyday life, about the world, about whatever. It's like what we call the news collection. It's, as we said, late into 60, but your best performance is when you're in your 40s, and it remains stable until you're almost 70, and then you are declining in that. We said that fluid memory is related, fluid intelligence is related to memory somehow. And one of the types of memories that decline is related to episodic memory. It actually stays stable, rather stable until like 60s, but then it's quickly declining after 65. However, semantic memory, memory of words and so on, it increases from 35 to 35 to 55 years old. So like I really have hope to learn to memorize names better, and then it's stable until the 65, and then it starts declining, however less degree than the episodic memory. So what we can conclude, that yes, there is a decline in intelligence, but not that much, and most probably it's related only to the fluid intelligence, which is the speed of learning, speed of processing of information, and it's related to memory and learning something new. And of course, then it's logical that if it's related to memory, then if I have a decline in memory, so most probably it would be not that easy for me to learn something new. But as you can, we are rather stable till the age of 65, unfortunately. Then there is this retirement age, and in Egypt for women it's 60, and this means that very many people are left still totally potent and totally able with the good crystallized knowledge that make them really competent in their fields, and yet they are retired by force, and then they become they feel that they are not useful anymore. And this is one of the potential causes of the depression, causes of anxiety. And we can say that we don't really know why this decline in cognitive abilities happen then. It might be pretty much related to the state of stress and depression, unless a person at this age has different values and goals and can realize themselves in something else, like for example in grandchildren, in something else. However, it really needs studies, and maybe we will cover this in our debate or ageism assignment. Yes, please. You can ask question without asking me in the chat. You can just speak.
Okay, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I have a question about the semantic memory. Isn't it I'm more prone to stress and depression if I don't remember or the opposite? If I remember like my past and what
We
I
will
did in
talk
my
about
past,
it.
and
Uh,
I want to understand this part.
Say again, Fatma, why you asking about semantic memory and then you're asking about the past? You're talking about that if I don't remember my past, I might be more depressed. This is what your question was, or what?
Yes, I want to understand what the relationship between stress and the semantic memory, as you said.
No, I didn't say that there is a stress and semantic memory. I say that there is the stress is related to the no, I meant that yes, we have a decline in semantic memory, episodic memory, intelligence. However, this decline really doesn't happen until the age of 65 very much. I mean, yes, in uh, like in some kinds of, like, for example, fluid memory, fluid intelligence, the decline starts after like mid 30s, very slight decline, meaning that we're not that fast in learning
Okay.
maybe anymore and so on. But what I meant is, like, if you look, for example, at this slide, I hope that you can see the slide, memory, episodic memory, semantic memory, and we can see that the memory starts to decline at age 65. And then again, episodic memory, a quick decline beginning around age 65, meaning that until the age of 65, we're still very much potent and competent. And even if there is this decline in the episodic memory that is rather substantial after 65, yet we have still rather strong semantic memory even after age 65, because the decline is not as substantial as the episodic memory. And I will tell you what exactly is declining in episodic memory sometime later. But if you look at the number 65, then I told you that, for example, in Egypt, the retirement age for women is 60. I'm not sure about men. And if you are retired at your
It's also 60.
also 60, and just imagine a man, a woman, still with the great crystallized intelligence. And I just want to show to you something, that the crystallized intelligence is yeah, I want to show till what, yeah, the aspects of crystallized abilities such as world knowledge continue to grow into 60s. So what we can see is that the intelligence, at least crystallized intelligence, still continues developing up to 70s and only starts declining after 70s. The memory is still somehow fine, okay, and it starts declining also after 65. So then when we think about the retirement, we can understand that most probably the retirement